Hello, David here, and the project for today is sealing the grout and the shower tiles. Last week I finished the grout and there was a lot of haze on the tile, and the only way I could get the haze off was with this cement grout haze remover. There are two types of haze removers there in the store, and one was a non-cement grout haze remover and one was a cement grout haze remover. There was no one there that knew the difference. I didn't know which one to get, so I got this one. And it's really powerful. It worked very well. The instructions are to dilute it 3:1 and use it that way. And if it's not strong enough, use it full strength. I didn't need to use it full strength. There were a couple of pieces of hardened grout that I just scraped off with a knife and didn't damage a tile. That worked pretty well, but otherwise the diluted solution worked very well. After that is done, then you can seal the grout. However, before you can use the haze remover, a new construction, you have to let the grout set for 7 days. So I couldn't use the haze remover for 7 days. Now that that's done, I wanted to wait for the haze remover to dry out, because when you use the haze remover you have to wet the tiles with water. So to use a sealer, the tiles have to be dry. So I waited 2 days, and I have some of this stuff. By the way, these people are not sponsors either, but this is a grout tile sealer, and you can use this on existing grout or new grout. In this case it's going to be new grout. And what you do is, with the surface completely dry, you spray this on and let it sit for 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, immediately wipe off any sealer completely before it dries. If the first coat was absorbed, apply a second coat. If you have a porous tile, you might have to do more than 2 coats. And the drying time is 2 to 3 hours. This chemical is an irritant to eyes and skin, so make sure you don't get it in your eyes. Keep it off your skin by using rubber gloves or latex gloves. And the fumes are bad too, so you probably want to wear a breathing mask. Got 3 coats of sealer on the threshold, then I installed the door and frame. And the door is missing some screws, so I had to install some stainless steel screws from the hardware store. I also had to realign the door because the door was out of alignment. At the bottom of the door I installed a new door sweep. You'll notice that it's been cut at a taper, and that's because the gap at the door hinge side of the door is a lot more narrow than the gap at the outside of the door. Over on the inside I only have 1 treatment of sealer on the tile grout because I found a flaw right next to that blue tape. It was a black flaw. I don't know where it came from. I was able to cut it out with a knife and re-grout it, and I'm just waiting a few days for that grout to set before I put on some more sealer. I've given the grout repair about a week to set. Just want to give it a close examination. It's in this area right here, and the patch was only about 1/2 of an inch. I want to see if there's any glaze on the tile. If there is glaze on the tile, I'm probably going to have to come in with some haze remover. And I don't see any haze on the tile, and that's a good thing because the haze remover will get everything wet. And if it gets wet, then I have to wait 2 days before I could put any more sealer on, because the sealer needs a dry surface. So all I'm going to do is try to loosen up anything that might have high spots on it in the grout with one of these Scotch-Brites. That's about it. Now I can come in. I'm going to get the vacuum up any loose stuff in here, and I'm going to put another coat of sealer on. I started caulking, did around the water control, did the soap dish, did the shower door, down at the bottom here. Looks neat. I've got 2 treatments of sealer down, and I'm going to do a 3rd treatment of sealer just on the floor only, because that gets a lot of abuse. And I was reading the back of this bottle of sealer, and I noticed that it causes reproductive harm. It's kind of depressing because I was going to have some more kids. Anyway, the usual drill. Spray it all over the place. Let it sit 5 minutes. Wipe it up with a dry rag, and then it should be set in about 2 hours. It's time to caulk the inside corners. And here's a tip for you: if you don't use up the whole tube of caulk, they don't always come with a cap to cap them. You can always use the end finger of an old latex glove to cap it off. So the tips are tapered. When you cut the tip off, that's going to determine the size of the hole you're going to have. Smaller hole at the end, a larger hole when you get closer to the tube. That's going to dictate the size of the bead you lay down. So I would start small and work your way up, because once you cut a big hole, you can't make it small. So the steadiness at which you apply the bead is going to have an effect of how the bead looks. If you're steady and you move at a steady speed and you keep applying steady pressure on the pump to push the caulk out of the tube, will dictate how clean your bead is. If you're unsteady, you're not feeding the caulk at a steady rate, you're going to have an unsteady bead, and you're going to have to tool your bead with some type of tool or use your finger to smooth it out. That's something you really can't teach someone how to do. You just have to practice it. So, and here's another tip. This caulk sets up fast within minutes. So you have to tool it quickly as soon as you lay it down. If you wait too long, the surface is going to skin, it's going to stick to your finger, it's going to pull away. And a tip for that, if you're at that point, if you wet your finger and run it over the bead, the caulk won't stick to your finger. So that's something. Here's my drain. I know it looks like hell. I cleaned it up a bit. Went to the hardware store to try to find a replacement, and I couldn't find anything this size. I have big square ones and 6-inch round ones and huge rectangle ones, and I'm just going to have to work with this. I noticed that I have a little grout here. I'm going to have to grind some of that down to get that to fit better. I guess it's been like that the whole time. About these holes in here, let's see if we could get in closer. As far as these holes go, the original screws never went in far enough anyway. I took a little depth measurement. The depth of the hole is only about that far. Other side is even less. Goes in that far. So I looked for stainless steel screws. I couldn't find any. I found some brass screws, 8/32 by 1/2. Going to use those. I have a number 29 drill bit and an 8/32 tap from Bosch, not a sponsor. I'm going to drill out the holes and retap them. This is going to be my depth gauge, just a toothpick. The overall length of the screw is a 1/2 inch, so this is the length of the shank, just the threaded portion. It's going to be less than a 1/2 inch. That's going to tell me when I need to stop drilling. Put some oil in the holes for lubrication, and I taped up the tile just to protect the grout from the oil. It's real important to drill straight. Oh yeah, there's plenty of depth right there. Do the other one. It's plenty deep as well. Add some more oil. Just hoping there's enough good steel in there for the threads to grab onto. Straight is the key. Whenever you're tapping a hole, back out a little bit to clear the chips. Take it slow. And I think I bottomed out. It feels like I got enough metal in there to grab onto. Check out this other hole. Okay, hole number 2. Just not grabbing. Probably hitting a lot of rust. can feel it grabbing now. I hope it's not too deep for my screw. Well, if worst comes to worst, I'll get longer screws. I think that bottomed out. Okay, I got the Dremel out now. I'm going to clean up that grout around the drain. Check the fit. Perfect fit. That was just to keep junk from falling down the drain. Check the screws. Put a little caulk around there, not to seal it, but just to kind of clean it up a little bit. This is a sanded caulk. This matches the grout. Same color, same texture. There we have it. I'm going to call it quits. I want to thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Bye now.